I want to thank you for listening to The Negative to Positive, which is brought to you by our good neighbors at State Farm. If you know me, you know I'm all about the real deal with State Farm. You get the real deal. Great service and surprisingly great rates. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Ha ha. What led me to start the podcast, From Negative to Positive, is I feel that the world needs it now more than ever. And also, what I love about the podcast is you get a chance to see somebody from a different perspective. You know, some people may stereotype you due to the music that you make, or the way that you entertain while you're on stage, or how can I say, your environment / facade, you know? So when they get a chance to see how you think and your perspective / opinions on things, I think you create a new fan base, you open people's minds at the same time. And for me, it's therapy, to be honest with you. I love it and look forward to it.
I had the opportunity to go to school in New York. I went to NYU, but I would say whether I went to NYU or not, it was all the things I did outside of the school that really opened up things. Like I went and worked on Rap City, worked in BET, worked in the jukebox, worked in Elektra Records. Like anytime I was able to learn, I was doing that and just following the passion. Always knowing that money always follows the passion. It's never the other way.
Money always follows the passion.
If you're chasing money,
it's on the run. Yeah,
it's on the run.
That's right.
If you do your passion, the money follows you. That was always my mantra. So it was never about like, when it came down to it, like, is this job enough money for me to do? Nah, if I'm passionate about it, the money will follow later. So I always stuck to that. And my first music video that I shot was actually for a group out of Miami. We pressed our own vinyl. We recorded it on a 4-track cassette tape with the pantyhose pop filters, and you know how to do. And and I just sent it to MTV blindly. The music video, I sold my first car.
What's the name of the group that you did?
Called Back Live. The song was called 1,000 MCs. I had my guys come up to Miami because I had the school equipment, and we shot this video for about $5,000 on film back then, right? We didn't know no iPhones or nothing, so I took all the people that I was working for on sets. I was working on Wu-Tang Clan sets and these, getting the water, getting this. So when it was my turn to do a music video, they were like, they wanted to see me shine.
Yeah.
So everyone came to the set.
There you go.
And we shot this music video. Didn't think much of it, but I sent it blindly to MTV, BET, and it became on the video back then, top 20 on Yo MTV Raps.
Huge.
It was on BET.
How did you feel when that happened? What was the feeling that went through your body?
One feeling, it was, I know I could do anything in this world.
Damn right.
That was it.
Sir.
Because I proved it. I proved it. I was like, you know, at that time, you had to have $300,000 to get on BET and MTV and all that. So I was like, man, I basically have my thesis project, and I'm sitting in my dorm room with my guys from Miami who barely had enough money to come up here and shoot this video, and we're watching our video come on Yo MTV Raps with Ed Lover and all these guys.
Priceless.
I couldn't imagine it. So long story short, that was the end of my rapping career. That was the beginning of my filmmaking career, because I realized that this is something I love to do. And the rapping career, even though I had a video on top 20 and everything, you're still gonna get the door shut and everything. Everyone's like this and that and that. And I felt like I took it as far as I could. And another funny story is, even while that video was playing, I was working on people's sets. So I was down here working on Trick Daddy Boy.
Wow.
And
can't catch me, boy. Don't set me, boy. Never 38, you take, boy.
So we're in the videos, and we're on the video set, and we're in the Scott Projects. And first time I'm meeting Case, who I know you know, Case 100.
Yes.
And Case comes up to me, and I'm just a PA. And he looks at me, man, like, man, don't you got a video on BT right now? I'm getting the waters and shit. And I was like, yeah, I do. But that just shows you that don't even mean anything.
Right.
The fame didn't mean much at the time, but
It's the hunger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You were hungry. You didn't care what you had to do. You were going to do it no matter you had a video on BET, whatever,
Right.
anything. You're just like, I'm going to be around and I'm going to absorb as much of this as possible. But that's what's lacking from today.
Yeah.
Putting in
That's
the
the
work.
problem. That's why we do this podcast, so they
Exactly.
can understand.
yeah, it's the I need everything now. It's
Yeah,
the
it's
IG
gratification.
generation.
Yeah, it's not now. It's right now.
Yeah.
I just want to think about it and it happens. That kind of shit. But
Don't work that way.
And also in the city at that time, in Miami at that time, everybody from the crib wanted to help out. Everybody from the crib. And funny story is Gil was working on a video for Little John. Little John opened a lot of doors for myself in the music industry, and he was doing Get Low remix with Elephant Man and Yin Yang Twins. And they had a little Spanish part that he let me do the hook. Nothing big, but I was just, saying something in Spanish. I forget what it was right now on top of my head. And I happened to walk outside the video set. I had a cup with me. Had no liquor in it. I would tell you the truth, And a cop snatches me up, boom, throws me in the corner and on the floor. And so I'm looking at it like, what's going on?
Right.
Well, clearly you know how that goes. So I just kind of just stuck to the script. Once he ran my name, I had a bench warrant. So next thing you know, I went from about to have my first video debut in Gil's video to Dade County Jail.
On a Friday.
On a Friday. Yeah. So I had
See you on Monday.
Yeah, I had to ride out. So, but crazy enough, this is the kind of history that we have down here in the city. And I used to wait at Gil's video shoots to get a cameo. Sometimes it would be 13 hours just to get that 2-second cameo. But that would be, back then, a stamp of like, oh man, this guy's coming up one way or another when you show up in other people's video that were already, I would say already on or already were a part of the game like that. So for everybody out there, and I like to bring people here that we have history, because we've watched everybody come up. I mean, pretty much all of us came up. And mind you, not all of us came up in the industry. A lot of us, well, other folks that we know came up in another game. But one way, we came up. One way or another.
Up is up.
Yeah.
Up is up. No matter how, up is up.
Yeah. But there's more to that story. Like, I don't think like you're doing justice of how important that cameo was.
Yeah.
That you got sniped from, because it was like literally about 3 years of me coming down, already establishing myself as a director. I was working with 50 and Snoop and all these guys. So I was like the dude from Miami. So if I came to do a video in Miami, I was calling Miami like, yo, come out, teach, come bring Chico, like let's do this. And so I was looking through some old videos. I was like, man, it was a lot of cameos. I was like,
oh yeah,
even like some rappers that, like, why are we even here for cameos? But yo, so when we were waiting, I mean, it was a long video day. Busta Rhymes was there as well, and it was like this was going to be the first time that people see Pitbull on this scale. So I was excited, like yeah, Miami's gonna rep. And
you went from the scale to the jail.
Yo, at the end of the day, we called him up. Where's he at? And like, nah, they snagged him up. I was like, are you serious?
It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be.
Nah, but look at it now.
Now look at it,
Look at it now. But as long as, hey, you gotta own it, keep it moving. And that's what when I was in Dade County Jail, I was just thinking, well, it wasn't for me. We have a saying in Spanish, lo que está para ti, nadie te lo quita. That means whatever's meant for you, nobody can take it from you. So, like I said, wasn't meant for me that day.
So I have a question for you. A lot of people, when something like that happens, they get down. They're like, yo, I can't believe it. That was my shot. That was my chance.
Yeah.
Did any of that run through your head when that was happening at that moment? Or were you always embedded with this, like, yo, the universe got this path for me and I'm not there?
I've never been afraid. I've always trusted time and never been afraid of the journey. And what really set me up for that in the industry was my first concert with Uncle Luke, which we spoke about when Luke was on the podcast. But that could have been the beginning of the end of my career. The way I literally fucked up on stage, how nervous I was, how drunk I got, in front of 10,000 people at the time in Charlotte, North Kakalaka, which is North Carolina. And when I embraced that and I turned to Luke and I said, hey, my bad, I apologize, for real, I fucked that up. You know, that was an opportunity that I fucked up. He's like, I knew what you was gonna do, Chico. I just was gonna see if you was gonna own it. And that's why he kept telling me, he said, anytime I would ask him if I could drink from his liquor bottle, I said, hey, can I hit this? He said, yeah, knock yourself out, Chico. Knock yourself out. He was telling me already, go ahead, knock yourself out. Because he knew that was gonna happen. So coming back, owning it, apologizing,
Right.
It made me even work even harder for his respect and everybody that was there, because they were clowning me for a while. They were clowning me for a while until I came with certain music that they said, okay, now Chico's bringing it. But so when something like that happened, man, that was, when there's not this craziness going on, I'm usually on the road a whole lot. So imagínate, when I'm not on the road, like these days,
believe it or not, I still stayed pretty busy. And when I need something delicious, when I want to feed the whole squad, and that's why I say it's got to be KFC. As the social distancing, they got that on lock. You heard me. They got it on lock. And all you got to do is just order ahead at KFC.com. Come through, pick it up. Like that old song, boom, pick it up, and the whole family is going to enjoy it. Ya, tu, sabe. For me, it's not just that I enjoy that great chicken and the side, which what we would say is, que rico. The fact is that I also love the KFC story. Now, here's a funny thing, man, true story, right? So a few weeks ago, we ordered KFC to the studio, and they put the buckets of chicken in the podcast, but by the time I got here, all the chicken was gone, gravy was gone, mashed potato was gone, biscuits were gone. So I think we're going to have to get some more of that reordered to the show, and we highly appreciate it. Well, you already know what it is, that little Chico Pitbull, Mr. 305, better said Mr. Worldwide, checking in, checking out. And if you haven't already, go get it right now. KFC, dale. Out of all the moms didn't like me around because I was different, you know? I'm a good kid. I always say, never been a troublemaker, just always been around some trouble, right? But Yuli's mom loved me. Right. She always showed me love. She never had a problem when I needed to stay over or if I didn't have a place to stay, you know, or no food or whatever, but not. His house was always my home. And then it turned into that vice versa because then you ended up living with me and my mom in Wynwood, yes, you know? And that's when he started to get, I would say, coming out of prison and started fighting professionally. Right. You know, and I always tell him there was a day that when this became,
This was actually before prison because that was Wynwood was 2001, 2.
Yeah.
And I went to prison 2004, 5, and 6.
So it was right before, it was Coast Guard then.
Right.
So therefore, you know, so all this goes on and I see the potential, I see the talent. I've seen it throughout all the years now, you know. Anything he put his mind to, when he played ball, he could play ball. Anything that he wanted to do, he could do. But then I started to get a little hot. Like after that trip in Europe or whatever, I sat down with Yuli and I said, Yuli, bro, you know, I love you with everything that I got and it's the truth, but I just can't be around you no more because whatever you're involved with, I don't know. That's none of my business. But I just know that if you get jammed up, I'm going to pop up for some shit that I ain't involved with. Right. And where I'm going right now, partner, I just ain't got time for that. Like we're growing over here I see where we're going, right? And
to interject on that actually, I'm sorry to interrupt,
go ahead.
but I feel like that made our friendship even stronger. Yeah. Because I would say, I'm not to put a number, a high percentage of people would be like, oh man, forget this guy. Right. No, I saw it and I told myself, you're absolutely right. I can't mess up what you got going on because of my stupidity.
Well, that's real.
We always talk, never lost contact, but the working together and all that kind of fell back. And it took some years for me to find myself.
So therefore, and you know, that day hurt me. It hurt me a lot, dog, to be able to have that conversation with you because I just don't run around telling people I love them. You know, I think that's something sacred. Mm-hmm. You feel me? And to have him here now and to watch what you've done in the last, I would say 3 to 4 years with your life, I can't even begin to tell you how motherfucking proud I am of you.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah, I'm about to. You feel me? So to have you here and see you have that moment that you've worked so hard for in this last fight and having the quickest knockout in combat sports, world history. From everything we just spoke about. That's why I wanted to set it up that way so people can understand, like, because there's one thing I say, and I want to program it to everybody that watches this podcast, especially in this day and age. Instant gratification does not exist. Whatever comes quick leaves quicker. Mm-hmm. Hard work. Turn your life around. When everybody doubted you, nobody wanted you around no more. Everybody knew that anywhere you show up, it's like, oh man, there go Yuli boy. You know, and now it's the total opposite, dog. So for you to take on, it's almost like we're having an interview with you right before you're about to take off. Your plane, you just got on the plane now. It's backing up from the terminal, looking at the runway and waiting for air traffic control to go.
You're
clear to go. Yep. That's where you're at right now, you know? So it's another milestone / historical step in our lives and everybody that's in this room at this point, because anything that we do around here, I don't live for this fake shit that goes on Instagram, on social media, for the follows, the likes, the fame. I'm from Dave, baby. Yeah. We got to get paid. The fame, right? That's how Trick say. I'm from Dave.
Yeah. Fame, I'm gonna get paid.
Oh, Trick, we gotta get shit right.
Yeah.
Yuli, go ahead, hit it.
fame, we have to get paid. Born and raised in the county of Dade.
Man, you crazy? I can't fuck up trick shit on the show, man. That's crazy. But so to have you here and have this conversation with you, man, means a lot. It's priceless, and it goes to show you that when you believe, you focus, you envision, you work hard. And how many people told you, man, you ain't gonna make it? No, I'll give you a great example. Somebody that same day as your fight told me, hey man, you see who Yuli's gonna go up against? And I said, nah, I don't know who he's going up against. I always, when I hear about him, I congratulate. I said, have a great fight, but I don't like to be a part of the noise. You get me? I don't like to be a part of the noise. Like he thought you were gonna get knocked out or something. You feel me? I just felt his energy. And I said, look, Pablo, I'll tell you what, why don't you just wait till after the fight?
Won't take long.
My friend, today hit me up talking about, hey, did you get a chance to congratulate Yuli?
Wow. Wow.
And that person was me.
Come on, Paul.
This is Negative to Positive, and I know you're absorbing all the knowledge we're putting out there. Our mission is to educate, inform, and also make sure you have a good time while we're doing it. And we're brought to you by State Farm. So keep in mind, when you're planning your future, they're going to get things right when it comes to insurance. Now, it's important to have a little extra change in your back pocket. So I'm taking a minute to remind everybody. State Farm has great service and surprisingly great rates. Check them out when you have a minute. They're going to get things done the right way. This podcast is all about elevating ourselves and changing from negative to positive. When we were looking for a partner for Negative to Positive, I came up with State Farm, and I want to tell you why. 3 reasons. Number 1, we're going to get knowledgeable agents. Number 2, you're going to get great service and great rates. Tremenda sorpresa. And number 3, you're going to get the real deal. Because like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And number 1, number 2, and number 3, that's everything that Pitbull embodies. I'd advise highly that you check them out. You know what it is. Now, as far as today's society, as they live, they say what social media is the socialize and what reality TV is the reality. So therefore, you don't have really kids that are doing this anymore, having this conversation, look at each other in the eyes, give each other a firm handshake. Well, I know nobody's giving handshakes right now, but but where I'm going with it is they live by these 2 words. It's followers and likes. And I tell them, man, hey, you don't want to be a follower, and who cares if they like you or not? What you want to be is a leader and unique. Leaders make a difference. Leaders are the ones that take risks. And my teacher, Hope Martinez, who changed my life, and you'll hear me always talking about it because it's the truth, she told me the biggest risk you take is not taking one. So in these times, you got to be ready to take risks. You got to be ready to feel uncomfortable, because that's what makes you create solutions. You know, I've always said an oppressed mind is a creative mind. When you put somebody and you just keep choking them, and the system's against them, somehow, some way, they figure out and they create their own system, which is controlling your own destiny, what Daymond's talking about. So to all the kids out there that are listening, and to everybody out there that thinks that instant gratification exists, I'm going to say it again, and I'll continue to say it. It does not exist.
Nope.
Just like perfect doesn't exist. Imperfection is what, if you put that word and you space it out, what is it? It's imperfection. So you got to own your life, got to own your story, and got to own the ride, bottom line, especially with what's going on right now. And like you said it, you know, we could call it a pandemic, scandemic, plandemic, whatever, but may or may not be. We won't know the truth till 3 to 5 years from now when everybody figures out there's like, oh, wow, that was real, or we all fell for the okie doke. You know? And I don't understand as people continue to follow the rules and regulations, the numbers just keep spiking. So I don't, you know, usually when I tell you to do something, it works.
Right.
You know, but that's a whole nother story, whole nother conversation. But Daymond, with that said, in the books that you've put out, in Shark Tank and what you've been involved in, FUBU, how you took that and made it culture, what do you see now? What are you looking at right now? I know we've done speaking engagements together, which is, I love that world, by the way, I really do. I love to speak to people that are hungry, ready to, because, you know, me doing a concert, you got about at least 25% of them out there hating. They ain't even want to show up that night. Man, why am I going to come check out Pitbull? I don't want to see no rapper.
They bought a ticket.
Or these, either that or they got somebody that brought them with them, or the girl wanted to go, they didn't want to go.
Perfect. Then they become a fan.
Oh, you already know.
That's the
You already
best.
know that's the lick. But half of them, they're hating. And mind you, if nobody's hating, that means you ain't doing nothing right.
Bingo.
I'm all about that. But when you're at a speaking engagement where people are in there hungry for knowledge, hungry for jewels, hungry for gems, hungry to make their life better, it's a whole different environment and ambiance. So how did you start getting into the speaking engagements, Daymond?
Well, it initiated with the fact that I started writing the books, and then Shark Tank happened to come after that. But I knew that, my version of paying it forward and God's gift to me was the fact that I can be humble and be vulnerable and show people that you don't need to be this kind of person. And I wanted to inspire people. And I felt that as a student of life, a lot of stuff that I went out there and read or looked at, I felt intimidated. The books were too, the words are too big, the whatever the case was. Not meaning that those people didn't want to enrich your life, but who was gonna ever talk to you like you and I? Like all three of us are talking, or four of us are talking. Right. Like we sitting on the step. You passed the 40 over here. I got the pork rinds. But let me tell you something. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to see. And you know what? I was gifted the fact of being on a show that all colors and all genders like me. So it wasn't only me talking to one. It was me being able to talk to rainbow people, and as well as seeing them relate to me, a black male, to say, hey, like Pitt, your music does the same. It shows we have more in common than we have apart. And when you start to educate people simultaneously on, emotional intelligence, racial intelligence, and various other things, as well as inspiration, you just create a better place, and it feels good. Now, honestly, I'll be very honest, man. When I come back, I want to be, in shape with a lot of 3 or 4 girls on stage, talk 2 different languages, and be able to get like, good Lord! I want to do that. But for the moment, I'm really happy where I'm at. But it's great to see an audience. You know better than I do, man, to see that you made somebody's day or night, and you took them out of their whatever their challenges were for just for that moment, you know what I mean? And and you see that you do that, and then you see them down the road. They write you, or they text you, or they see them. They be like, "Yo, I was in a place, man. You took me away for a minute, or you changed my life." That is the most rewarding thing in the world, to know that you've been able to do that to people, and that's what I like.
That to me is it's all about that moment. Like what you were saying. And Irv changed my life in a moment. Hope Martinez changed my life in a moment, and to see that, yes, it is priceless. And even like when I'm, it's gotten to the point in the school when they see me, they're just like, oh, there go Pitt. It's oh, there go Pitt. He's gonna say the same thing over again. We get it. But to be able to look in their eyes and being able to understand their story without even having to have that conversation and know what they're going through at the crib or in the neighborhood, one way or another, and to give them a place, number one, where we believe in them and give them opportunity for the future. It's the same way I feel when I'm in the speaking engagements and looking out in that stage. You're seeing people out there just hungry. Like, I know you're going to say something that's going to change my life. And one of the things that Pac says, and I always repeat it, he said, I'm not the mind that's going to change the world, but I am the mind that's going to spark the mind that's going to change the world. And that's the same way I feel about everything that we do. And any platform that we could get on and share our stories, I go back to, especially in these times, especially in this society, especially the way things are going, driven / controlled. And I say it, phone gets smarter, car gets smarter, TV gets smarter, speaker gets smarter, we get dumber. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what we got to do is always be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve, ahead of the 8 ball. And the more people we put on the game, because as it is, like dope money, what comes quick leaves quicker, right? That ain't our game. That's not Daymond game. That's not our game. It's about a slow but a for show. Mm-hmm. A for show, a for show, and a for shizzle.
But Pat, I want people to also realize one thing, because they think when you get to a certain level in life, you stop learning. I think there's some of the great things about when we go up on those stages is we're interviewed by people, we get amazing people around, and we're still learning simultaneously while we're teaching. And I think that is also inspirational. And I want people to all know that, like, life is a series of lessons, a series of mentors, and a series of accidents. And you learn that stuff when you're on stages,
You got to say it one more time. Daymond, how does it go again?
Life is a series of lessons, a series of mentors, and a series of accidents.
Oh, man. Yeah, failure is the mother of all success.
Question, as a student of life, what has been your biggest lesson?
Well, there's been 2 or 3 lessons, but one is, the old saying, money is a great slave but a horrible master. And we learned growing up in the hood that a lot of people have fell to believing that the only thing that that defines them is money. also going back to money, is learning financial intelligence. The kids right now in school, a lot of schools, some schools do teach financial intelligence, but schools need to teach financial intelligence the way they're teaching shop. I'm not sure if you and I, Jennifer, are ever going to need to ever build a birdhouse, but we're probably going to need to balance a checkbook, whether it's a company or at the house.
Definitely.
And that's, you need to know how numbers work. And I think those are the two things that have really been the biggest lesson I learned. Because money makes the world go round, but it's not how much you make; it's how much you retain. Tony Robbins, a good friend of Pitts and I, tells a story about a man who grew up who was born, just got out of slavery. The highest paying job he ever had was $30,000 in the 70s as a UPS worker, but he retired and left $70 million to his family because of the way he understood how financial intelligence would work. If you would have bought in the year 2000 $20,000 worth of Apple stock, you would be a billionaire right now. So
Miss that boat.
So there's a lot of things, and I don't want to even pick and I to tell you, yo, you got to go out and hustle and be an entrepreneur. No, you don't. I'll tell you what to do. Learn how the stock market works. Put your money over there and invest in other brilliant minds, because they ain't going to take Steve Jobs' ass and dust him off and ask you any questions or any way to solve Apple, or invest in Elon Musk or some of these brilliant people. So there's so many ways to get your hustle on, as long as you educate yourself on how you're going to do it.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, but with that, well, Demi, you know what? One more question, because you mentioned that you were dyslexic, and I have some loved ones that happen to be dyslexic, and I was breaking it down to them like, no, that means that you're very special, because a dyslexic mind is a very powerful mind, and if you look at the folks that are dyslexic, are very, very successful in the world. As far as, you have, off the top of my mind, Steven Spielberg, yourself, but there's a line that you guys could look up. So how was it that you, number one, figured that out, and then number two, overcame it?
So I agree with you, and a lot of people don't know 8 of the 12 sharks are dyslexic. Me, Kevin O'Leary, Barbara, Richard Branson, Rohan Oza, and I forgot the other 3. I think Chris Sacca and various other things. I really didn't know I was dyslexic until I was more as an adult. Because when Two-Way Pages came out and I started hitting people, they were like, man.
What's going on here?
Because when I wrote my mother a card, a letter when I called, she loved me. She was my mother, right? When the teacher answered something I wrote her, it was an F on it. And when I wrote a girlfriend a love letter, she left me. So I didn't know what was going on. But when I started publicly emailing and Two-Way Cat was like, hey, homie, the word is cat. There's no cat like that. There's no E at the end of cat. So that's how I learned it, but I was so confident with myself.
On Negative to Positive, we always talk about success. What goes into it and what it takes to make it, and to making sure or making sure that you guys are on top of your financial game. That's where NetSuite comes in. It's time to stop paying for a lot of those programs that don't give you the information that you necessarily need and when you need it. That's why I say forget about the old spreadsheets and the old software. We need you to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. You're in the business world's #1 cloud business system. Whether you're crushing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, NetSuite lets you see what's going on. It gives you what you need when you're driving the business: visibility and control over all financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place. That's NetSuite. So whether you are a thousandaire, millionaire, or billionaire, you need some NetSuite in your life. You need to get down with a product tour at netsuite.com/pitbull. NetSuite will show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/pitbull. Ahora sí, schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/pitbull.
I always say that. You can like her music, no music, but Gloria is an incredible human being. And she said, what you see is like you. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
She said, Pete, and said, Pete, put the mask. Come on, you have to take care of you. She think you're naive.
Yeah, she got on me. She got on me. No, but you know what I like about it too is when we first started hanging out, it was, because you see Gloria and Gloria's Gloria.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, God. See, I'm a little nervous. I don't know what to say or not to say. ¿Tú me entiendes? So yo, tomando mi traído, meaning having my little drink, see what's going. As you can see, we're in Little Havana. You hear?
Yeah, you see? They're looking for you. I told you.
It's right here. Dressed like the girl. He's here.
Keep the music down. Keep the music down. Yo sé que...
Oh man, well I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about Gloria.
About Gloria.
Yeah. Oh, so I was around Gloria. Thank you.
That's a senior moment. Be careful with that.
Now I can go to your healthcare center. Go.
There you go.
Yes.
But so then I was with Gloria, and Gloria starts telling jokes, but like good jokes, street jokes.
Yeah. She's the best doing that.
Yeah, she's got some real good jokes. And then I was like, oh, okay. So, I had to throw my hat in the ring and had to go back and forth. And that's when I was like, okay, now I really mess with you. Not the kind of jokes I can necessarily tell right now.
What people didn't know, he went with my son to school. So I met him. He was a little kid.
I got to tell the story.
Yeah.
So I go to school, and this is in South Miami High.
What?
Now, mind you, for everybody out there, how I went to school, this is my trajectory. I started South Miami, went to Coral Gables, South Miami, Coral Park, South Miami, South Ridge, back to Coral Park.
By the way, if anybody wants that, we're selling maps online. Follow along at home.
It was part of the gifted child program.
Yeah, it was, like I always say, I've never been a troublemaker, just always been around some trouble. Yeah. Speaking of that, Nayib is his son, so we end up in a class together because we're interesting kids, and he came from another school too. So what they did for kids is they go, okay, so since you guys are not producing in the regular class, let's put you in this intermediate class on a computer. And this is when computers first started really to get introduced into schools like that, different programs. Yeah. So it was this girl I used to be around, beautiful girl, curly hair. I used to call her exótica. Exótica, ¿cómo va la cosa? Ya tú sabes. And I had a great relationship with her, but she was my dog, And Nayib boy liked her. And he was like, hey, you know her? You know her like that, huh? I said, yeah, a little something like that. He's like, man. I said, you like her, don't you? Right? And he said, yeah. Right? Imagínate, he came from
Exótica.
Yeah, she was
special.
She was doing it. She was thick. And now he goes, hey, if you hook me up, I can change your grade on the computer.
Oh shit.
I had a D. He goes, I can change it. I can change it to an A. I said, no, don't change it to an A. Let's change it to like a B. Like
they won't believe it.
You can't jump from.
Yeah, don't get
they won't believe it.
With it.
You know what I mean? You can't jump even in the public school system. They catch that. ¿Tú me entiendes? Entonces, Nayib, sure enough, I hooked them up. Meaning, they became friends, whatnot. I don't know what they did after that. That's none of my business. And sure enough, I got to be in the class. So thank you very much.
Got lucky.
I appreciate it.
That's great. Listen, the first month I went to school, in Kinloch, and the guy, of course I got an F in English, but I didn't understand what's going on, so that's an F. So my aunt told me, oh, you got an F? Yeah, fantastic. He said, no, it's fantastic. Out of here. You're punished. I said, listen, I just came from Cuba 1 month ago. I can learn English one month. Still now, 40 years, I still don't have the accent.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Es que es una ametralladora, so you gotta be like.
She looked at me like saying, bull.
You know how many kids are going to say, Mom, I got an F? Emilio said it's fantastic.
Fantastic.
I love it.
At least you got to be, man.
No, thanks to Nayib. If not, I would have been, like we said back in the day, out of gas.
He always talk about you. He's the best. I love it. He love you.
But it's the law of attraction, because even I was dealing with them by default.
Right.
Through Nayib, you know? And I knew that you guys would be fun, especially I was like, oh, this guy's, he's off the chain.
Yeah.
He don't, you would never think that he was a part of the Estefans, let's just say, at that time. And he was always low-key, quiet, did his thing, but he knew how to get down. It's not easy, I definitely know it's not easy when you're prioritizing yourself. There we go, I got it. When there's a lot on your plate. So investing in your mental health has a long-term benefit. And with Talkspace, it can actually be affordable. With Talkspace Online Therapy, it'll connect you with a licensed therapist for a fraction of the price of in-person therapy. Get matched with your perfect therapist from the comfort of your device and reach out 24/7 whenever there's something on your mind. Best of all, an entire month of Talkspace costs about the same amount as a single in-person session. Talkspace has thousands of licensed therapists trained in over 40 specialties, including anxiety, depression, relationships, and more. The bottom line is that we all need someone to talk to. Talkspace wants to give us the support we deserve at a price we can afford. As a listener of this podcast, you get $100 off your first month of Talkspace, and that'll match you with your perfect therapist. Go to Talkspace.com or download the app. Make sure to use the code Pitbull to get $100 off. That's right. Make sure to use the code Pitbull, Pitbull, to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Pitbull and Talkspace.com. I mean, what the fans can look forward to is what I look forward to. I mean, I'm excited about doing every interview so they can see another piece of my life. And I want them to understand that instant gratification does not exist. This is all hard work. This is not by default, this is by design. Why? Because we believe in ourselves, invest in ourselves. And to me, living is giving. And we're constantly giving back to motivate and inspire people out there. Like, hey man, no matter what life looks like, every day above ground is a great day. As long as you're breathing, baby, we moving forward. And that's what excites me to do every episode so they can see a little piece of my life through other people's eyes. And those people share those stories where, you know, Pac has a great line, may he rest in peace, rest in paradise. He says, I'm not the one that's gonna change the world, but I'm the mind that's gonna spark the mind of the one that's gonna change the world. And that's what Negative to Positive, the podcast, is about. And you know, what I love about the podcast also, it reminds me of music. Music is a universal language. It brings everybody together. It has no limits, no barriers, no borders, no boundaries. And that to me is what this podcast is about. So the guest that we're gonna have is gonna be exactly how I grew up in Miami. Miami is a melting pot, you know? And we're gonna have From Your Flow, Little John Luke, where you're gonna have Enrique Iglesias, you'll have politicians, you'll have Nobel Peace Prize winners, you'll have motivational speakers such as or coaches, life coaches such as Tony Robbins. And when you see this array of people, it gives you an in on my life so that you see that I'm a big believer in one race and one race only. That's the human race. We all bleed the same blood, breathe the same air, and put our pants on one leg at a time. And you're gonna see that through all the guests that are gonna come on the show, that the podcast will literally be the universal language on how to take your life from a negative to a positive. And I always say, if it wasn't for the fans, if it wasn't for them supporting me for 20 years in the game, I wouldn't be here. Always thank God, but always to the fans. If it wasn't for y'all, there'd be no Pitbull. I appreciate y'all more than you know. I say it because it's the truth.